So here we are in El Salvador. Our adventure has truly begun, and it has been a whirlwind to get here. I cannot even tell you how hard it's been to get out of Canada with what we were trying to do. We were trying to bring a shipping container. We weren't sure of the size. Once we got stuff packaged on pallets, then it became clear that we could easily get the 20-footer, and if we can stay under that limit, that's a little bit cheaper. It's about $1,300 USD difference. Not that it's a lot, but then we'd have to pack another 10 pallets to really make use of a 40-footer, and we had a pretty tight timeline. And luckily for us, we were gifted the warehouse space by Will's transfer. Terry Wills, I reached out to him because our pastor suggested he might be able to help us because we were running out of space to put our boxes. And this is what the logistical issue was. We were going to have a shipping container arrive at our home and have 2 hours to package it. And if we wanted to keep the shipping container overnight, it would have been $400. And we were suggested to put it on pallets, so that would make it easier. So I thought maybe we could just rent a shipping container for our property, get the pallets ready ourselves, have them in that shipping container, and then just transfer to the other shipping container with maybe like a hand truck. If we could rent that somewhere, like Home Depot maybe has those or something like that. And then he tells me that the shipping container, when it arrives, it will still be on the truck. It's not going on the ground. And in order to get the pallets into it, we need a forklift. It's like, okay, well, even if we had a forklift to put it up onto the truck, now I need the hand truck inside there to move it from the front to the back. It was just becoming really a logistical nightmare. So I reached out to our pastor to see if he gave us some suggestions or something. And that's when I mentioned Terry Wills. So I reached out to Terry, told him what our goals were, our plans were in El Salvador. And he was so gracious to give us the space. So we brought all our boxes over there over about a 2-week period. It was a little tricky because our van was not working. God did not want that van to be the one that we used to get to Montreal. And as my husband said, over the last, I'd say about the last 3 weeks now, we've had to rely more on the generosity of others than we've ever had, maybe in our entire existence together. So we needed help getting our van fixed. There was an issue with the radiator. It had overheated when my husband tried to take it out. So we had a friend went out there because he had a trailer on the back of the van. The friend went out there and got the trailer for him, brought it back to our property. And then in the end, that friend actually helped my husband take that trailer to the scrap metal place because that's what was on the trailer, was a whole bunch of scrap metal. So he was able to get it out there, get that off the trailer, get the money for it, and get the trailer home safely. And then once we get the radiator fixed in the van, the mechanic said he went to take it for a test drive and he almost didn't make it back. And he said one of the cylinders had gone in the van. So he fixed that, and then I got the van back. And it was perfect because I needed that van to pick up these large TV boxes from Brockville on Tuesday. And I was hoping he said he'd had the van ready for us on Tuesday, but I was really praying the van would be ready Monday so that I'd be able to get to Brockville with it. And lo and behold, the Lord provided. I got the van Monday night, and we got to Brockville Tuesday, picked up those boxes, got my cat's paperwork done because that's why I had to go to Brockville. And then I got home and I went to take it out on Wednesday, and it was shuddering like crazy. I got all the way to the mechanics. My husband came with the car. We unloaded the van because we were actually on our way to the warehouse. And the mechanic said, oh, it's another cylinder. We got the first coil for the other cylinder. He said that was the last one. And luckily, I guess they replaced it because he went to look for this coil, and he was able to get the coil for the other cylinder. So it wasn't quite the last one. It was the second last one. So he got that fixed. That was great. And we got into the van Thursday, and the van said, oh, the battery light's on and the brake light's on. So we did our load to the warehouse, came back to the mechanics. He looked at it and said the alternator's not charging the battery. So we kept the van at home, plugged in, and we took a load with it every day, all the way to the warehouse and back. And on Sunday was our long trip out there, so we actually had it plugged in at the warehouse just to make sure we could get it back. But there was no driving the van to Montreal to go to the airport. My goal originally was to get a U-Haul, pick it up on Monday. We'd pack it Monday evening, and it'd be on the van ready to drive us to Montreal on Tuesday. We'd all be in the van together with the suitcases and stuff in the back. And then our friend would drive us, and he would drive it back, drop off the U-Haul. I mean, that alone is a logistical issue because our friend doesn't really live near us. So anyway, that didn't work out. There was no way the van was hauling anything or going very far. So the van's home now. We'll get it charged, take it to the garage, get a new alternator put in it, and when we have the money, and then we'll just sell it like that when it's up and running properly. So that was really exciting. But I could have used less excitement maybe before that trip. And then the other thing that was great was that at church on Sunday, we got up in front of everyone and said what our plans were and asked if people could help us, because that was the day to put everything on the pallets. And Terry was available from 3 to 5. And we needed more manpower to get the rest of the stuff out there, because we still had lots of big items that hadn't made it out yet. So if anyone could pull our trailer, that would be, advantageous, because my husband's tools, because of the whole van situation, we're never able to get those tools out. Plus we had a rocking chair, 2 office chairs. I think we'd already had the cradle out there by that time. So it's just a couple bigger pieces and just the thing with these tools, right? So we had like 3 different families from our church, and then our friend and her husband came over, and they just helped. They used their vehicles, they packed everything, took our trailer, so that was like, we got big stuff on that, and we got everything out there, and then they stayed to help actually. So they came after church. I said, if you're available from 1 to 3, that's great, and then if you could stay to help us do the pallets from 3 to 5, that's great. A lot of them stayed till 5 or 6, because we were actually not done the pallets till 6. And at that time, we had 8.5 pallets filled Sunday night. So we had all day Monday to get more stuff out there to fill the other 1.5 pallets. And we still had, surprisingly more stuff. I don't know. I guess there's like, I forgot my sewing machine cabinet. That could have been taken on the day before, but I hadn't thought to bring it down. And it's the desk with the sides and the stool and the whole bit. And then my other antique sewing machine hadn't even been packed yet. And by Monday, I was in stress, like to here, because we woke up, I think I got a little bit more sleep Monday. So this is funny. Friday night, I got 3 hours sleep. Saturday night, I got 5 hours sleep. Sunday night, I think I got about maybe another 5 hours sleep. I got like a little more time, because we were up every night doing packing, so that the next day we'd have a load ready for the van. And then we didn't go to bed at all Monday night, because that was packing suitcase time, which took us almost an hour a suitcase, because we pack it. Oh, that's too heavy. Take that out. But we want to take that. We had to I had already stuff in some of these suitcases. I already had stuff laid out to go in suitcases. And it came down to, do we really need that? Like, I had tons of cosmetics and stuff. And I used to sell Mary Kay. So one of my goals was to bring all my Mary Kay stuff I had bought in the past for inventory or whatever, and just donate it to the girls, because they're learning cosmetology. How special would that be? I always love when I get some, cosmetics, a gift with purchase or something at one of the counters, right? Just to come with some eyeshadow and lipstick and gift it to them, to say, hey, this is for you. This, I always kind of felt prettier with lipstick on and whatever, and makes you feel special and important. And I thought, if I can give those cosmetics to the girls, and even have enough that they would just, not just for themselves, but they could try it out and learn how to apply it. And maybe this is a skill that they could use in the future if they're doing anything with the cosmetology part, is the makeup, right? Learning how to do makeup, not just the hair and nails, but do makeup as well. So anyway, I wanted to bring as much as possible. Now I did get quite a bit of it, but there was still a big bag of it left at home. And we couldn't put any of that stuff in the shipping container, because we couldn't bring any chemicals. Basically nothing liquid, nothing powder that would be considered a chemical, like even our laundry detergent that was the big 5-gallon Nellie's jugs. And my husband had put some of that into little containers. We tried to put some of those in our suitcase too, and I don't even know if we end up with any of those at all. Yeah, that was harrowing. I think that was harrowing. That would be how I describe our suitcase packing. So the Monday was, our friends came over again, and they helped us, and that was panic mode. I hadn't even packed the paperwork on my desk. Like, I was just throwing stuff in boxes. My tablet was on a lid of a box. At one time, we carried it downstairs. I think it's in the box now. I did like the Find My iPhone thing. Could not find the tablet anywhere in the house. I think that one in the box, and it's in the shipping container. So it'd be one of those boxes that I haven't actually labeled that it has a tablet in it, and I labeled it as personal paperwork instead. So I'm hoping that doesn't cause an issue, because it's not just packing. I had to list every item that was in the box, even if it was like various personal paperwork, which is a lot of the last boxes we did. And for Lego, I had a lot of Lego was in mason jars, because I wanted to bring my mason jars, and like, why would you take empty jars, put something in it, right? So we're like, well, we have Lego, so let's put the Lego in there. So it'd be like 12 jars of Lego. I didn't count every piece of Lego, I just counted the jars. So when we listed all the items, it had a count if it was something like that. A lot of times it did have various. If it was various pieces of women's clothing, we just did a weight on it. So every box was weighed. Every box was itemized what it was. Some of it was literally counted out. And of the stuff we had counted out, We had gotten to 5,500 and something. So we had literally counted out 5,500 items, and a lot of that was books, because GJ bought over 2,600 books. So half of that's books. So I'd be like, oh, there's 32 books in this box, and there are young adult books, or there's baby books here, or there's woodworking books here, or there's, textbooks here, whatever, right? Like, we had them all labeled out, because we're planning on having a fairly extensive library in the setup we do, and in English, because hopefully we'll able to give some English lessons to people too. So having books of varying degrees of educational content as well as like reading level, like that's would make it more interesting and more doable, right? You start with the baby books, you work your way up to the textbook. So Monday was the crazy day. I stress level, actually, I don't know if it was more stressful Monday or Tuesday. Monday was very stressful because that was our last day to pack the shipping container, because we weren't going to be there anymore, or so we thought. There's a little catch to that, but we brought everything over, and then our friends helped us start the palleting, the last pallet, and then the half of the other one. And when we got it all wrapped up, it's like, and by this time it was dinner time, and we said to the kids, we go to a restaurant and go to Walmart, pick up our last prescriptions and do this stuff. And my husband's like, no, we're just going to get some food at Walmart. We're going to go home, put it in the microwave or whatever, and then we're going to start suitcase packing. And I thought, suitcases, well, I've already done most of that work. Well, no, like I said, it took us almost an hour to go through every suitcase and then weigh it. Okay, that's overweight, that's underweight. And you start marking the weights on every suitcase so that if one was a little under and we had something left over, we know, oh, that's a suitcase to put it in, which is exactly what happened. At the end of it, there was one bag of my daughter's clothes that didn't make it in any suitcase, and we went to the airport with this bag in our hand, and I looked at the tags and suitcase. That one's 47 point whatever pounds. That's when I opened up and just shoved it in. I didn't have to itemize the suitcases, and in the end, I had one to actually itemize the suitcase in case we lost one, and I would know what was in it. But there was things got moved around so many times to make things fit. At the end, it was crazy. And the one thing that never showed up, funnily enough, they actually went through 3 of our suitcases. There was 3 cards left in the suitcases, so you know that they were in the suitcase, and it said, search through, didn't take anything out, except one. They did search the one with the robot vacuum, and they took my robot vacuum out. Now, we had looked at that battery before we left, and it was under the limit for under storage of the plane. We didn't have to bring it in the cabin with us. So they did take it. I have a claim open with them. I'm really hoping I get it back. I just bought it literally for this life we're living here, because of all the tile floor and everything. I thought I'll just run that vacuum on the floor all the time. No, not that we had carpet at home really anyway. We had a couple of rugs, but this would be ideal. And it also does the mopping, so the floors get cleaned all the time with cats and fur. It's a nice thing. So I'm really missing that. So I opened the claim on Wednesday. We got here Tuesday night and opened the claim Wednesday, and I need to follow up with that because I don't want them to I don't know, what would they do with it? When they take something out of your suitcase, I hope they're obliged to hold on to it till they reach me until I can either pick it up in Montreal where it was left, and get my friend to go get it, or put it in a box and put it in the plane, and we'll go to the airport here and pick it up. So I'm actually hoping that's the better one, because then I'd have it right away. Otherwise, I had to wait till somebody travels up here and puts it in their carry-on baggage, which, there's a lot of people coming because I've invited a lot of people to come visit us. And of course, that would be probably my husband, good chance my husband, because he will be coming back to Canada. We decided kind of on our way to the airport, we're going to have to come back because I feel a lot like we left like fugitives. We just left our house, like there's clothes in the drawers, there's food in the fridge, there's a chicken in the fridge I cooked the other day, and I told our friend, you better eat that chicken when you come over, it's going to have to be thrown in the garbage. The dirty dishes in the sink, it's just crazy. We just left like we're literally fugitives running from something. Well, running from the crazy corrupt country, I guess. It was crazy. And then, now let's talk about Tuesday. We didn't go to bed Monday, so Monday, Tuesday, it's kind of like it was the same day for us. It was the same day for us. It was crazy. So I had got these cat carriers from Temu. Now, I'd used them to go to the vet with the cat, and the last time I had all 3 with me, and the zipper came undone on one of the cats, and it was hilarious. Not really. He fell out of it when I'm carrying him from the car door to the vet door, and I had to grab him. Of course, he attacks me and everything because he's so terrified, and he ripped my dress, and it was crazy. But we got him in there, and I fixed the zipper, and it worked, and we put him in it, and we could have come home. It's fine. And then we went to put the cats in the carriers to leave on Tuesday morning, because our friends arrived at 7:30. We were going to try to get the cats in around 7-ish before the chaos, but there was just chaos. There's no way to get them in earlier. So we're like at the last minute trying to find the cats because now they're like scared because there's people in the house. And get the suitcases at the door. The last 2 suitcases, my husband was just throwing stuff in, trying to weigh them. And the last 2 suitcases were most chaotic, I think, because it's like, this is it. You have no more room to take anything else. What is the most important thing you want to take? And some things got left behind, like my husband's charger for his tablet. So then there was a box we never did pack for the pallet. We found it in our bedroom, like, oh, it's a big flat box. It had some pictures in it, big flat pictures. A canvas, really, and this plaque thing I got with my maiden name, Scottish ancestry on it. And honestly, I can't remember what else in that box, but I know that never made it to the pallet. So what we've actually are going to have is our friends kind of walk through our house and pick up the things. We're like, oh, GJ forgot his hat. He forgot his walking stick. The ruler with the kids' measurements on the wall. We forgot to take that off and put it, like that can go on the pallet. It's 6 feet tall. It's flat. It can go on the outside part of any part of the pallet and just get saran wrapped on, right? Like that's not a big deal. The flat box would probably fit on the top of any of the pallets because most of the pallets have some big item in the top that kind of sticks out, like the chair legs for the desk chairs or the cradle. But the other parts of the top of the pallet are flatter that could take something like this, like a flat box. So they're going to walk through, I'm hoping maybe today or tomorrow, and just go through the stuff that we kind of like, oh, we realized we forgot that, and it's here. Can you pick it up, throw it in the box, package that box, we'll itemize it here on my computer. We forgot the scale. There's no room in the suitcase for the scale. I'd like to have my scale back. It's going to be hard to weigh the box that the scale's going to go into and the scale's not in the box. We'll try to figure that one out. Maybe that box doesn't get weighed. There was a couple things didn't get weighed, like the rocking chair didn't get weighed because how do you get the rocking chair on the scale? The cradle did get weighed, ironically, because it went up on its end and it was flat enough on the end to sit on the scale, but some of the bigger items never got weighed. So this box would be one of the boxes that doesn't get weighed. So we make sure it's itemized very well. It's great having good friends. I never got to put the cat food out. My friend came and got the cat food for our outdoor cats. I'm still trying to rehome our outdoor cats. Our neighbors feeding them while we're gone, while I'm looking for someone to take care of them. We had 7 cats. We took 3 cats. We're not abandoning all the cats. We took 3. To get those 3 cats, I had to take them to the vet. They had to get their initial rabies and feline leukemia shots. Then they had to get their booster. And then they had to get treatment for flea and tick. We did one earlier and we did one right before we left. And before we left, we had to do this health exam 10 days before leaving. So then I had to take that health exam to CFIA, and CFIA had to stamp it. And then I had to, of course, pay for the tickets for the cats. That was another $550. So overall, it was over $2,000 to bring the 3 cats that we brought, because $550 is a ticket all by itself. Every vet visit was at least $500. It seemed like. So the day we had the health check, they had all the same on the neck treatment, and the CFA told me to get the vet to do it, so the vet can certify that she gave them, that they've really had it, that she gave them the flea, tick, tapeworm medication. So they had all that the week before we left, the Monday before we left, and then the CFA paperwork I think was $68. I think that's what it was. And in San Salvador, it only cost me $27.16 to basically import 3 cats. I thought he meant $27 each. It was for all 3. It was $27, 16 cents or 12 cents, something like that. So that was exciting. And let's talk about the day we arrived, or the day we tried to leave the house. So this cat carrier situation, I thought was okay. It was not. We tried to get the cats in the carrier. Carrier like exploded again. So I got a cat under my arm who's terrified, never really been out of the house except in the carrier. I got the carrier in my other arm and a sewing kit, thinking I'm going to sew this thing shut. But I thought in my mind, I know I have to take the cats out at security, so I can't really sew her shut. So I was like, I don't know what to do. So my husband, and this son, the zipper actually came right off the one side of the zipper, like one track, it came right off. So he got his Leatherman out and whatever, fixed it. Actually it was our friend's Leatherman, I think, and fixed it. I'm like, but do I trust this thing? So on our way to Montreal, he's fixing this thing. The cat's sitting, she has her harness on the leash, and we tied her to the headrest of my chair, and she's sitting on the backseat chair or under the chair, like hiding, whatever. So my friend, my friend's husband picked us up in his van with all the suitcases, and GJ and I and this one cat went with him. My other friend, he picked up with his car. He took all 3 kids and whatever fit in the back, like the trunk of his car, backpacks and stuff like that, right? So we all headed out to Montreal. I think we were supposed to leave at 8. I think it was like 8:05 with this whole cat situation. So when we left, I'm not even sure we had locked the door. Like it was like that crazy. And although it's been locked since, don't worry. Our friends went over to get the cat food I'd forgot to put out and make sure the door was locked. So we're driving to Montreal, And on the way there, he did fix the carrier, but I'm thinking I can't trust it, so we're going to stop. So we decided we'd stop in Cornwall. I went to like a pet value, I think it was. They had 3 carriers that were the cat size. And one you could go from the top, which I did like that one, but it didn't have a shoulder strap. And carrying the cats a lot, you know, and ironically, that's not what we end up using on that particular carrier. So I got the more expensive one. It was $5 more. But it was like $79 plus taxes, $90 some for a cat carrier. I'm thinking like the Temu ones I think were 15 or 16, but of course it's Temu. What are you gonna get, right? So I got her in this carrier, but her carrier had a little strap to go on the handlebar of carry-on. So I actually put her on that. That made it much easier because I end up mostly pulling that carry-on with her and holding another cat because we had a lot of walking to do at that airport. That was insane where we had to end up at the gate. So we got in there, we got our suitcases put on the conveyor belt. Not one was over. It was all 22.5, 23 kilograms. Like that's it. The whole time I'd thrown that Annika's clothes in that one bag that had a little bit less, a little bit more room, we'll say. And yeah, we got onto the air, we got out through that area, all checked in. It was all great. We got over to security. We went like right away. We didn't dilly-dally at all. We went right to security. And we got to security account. Now I have 3 kids, each have a backpack that has a laptop, a tablet, and a phone. So now I did go through, and one of them had the Alexa. I don't remember even whose backpack I threw the Alexa in. So we get to the little place, you get your bin, you got to put your stuff out, but then you couldn't put anything on top of the laptop. So sometimes they needed 2 bins because they couldn't fit everything else on. And then once we get all that done, now we go through security, and now we still have the 3 cats. Well, that's fun. You got to take the cat out of the carrier. And we take the cat out of the carrier goes through the conveyor belt, through the x-ray machine, and you get to carry the cat. Now, these are terrified cats. You can imagine how scared they were. So I took Black Beauty in mine. That's one with the nice carrier. And I walked through with her under my arm. No, I think I held her like a baby, actually. I walked through the security, and when I got through, it was fine. So we were fine through security. It was great, but I had to wait for a carrier to arrive because I couldn't put her down anywhere. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. The carrier's taking forever to come out. So then my son has Orange Man. He's going through the carrier, no problem. And Orange Man was completely chill. Like, he was so relaxed. And he was great, but we still had to wait for his carrier to arrive. And then my husband goes through. Well, he'd forgotten to take stuff out of his pockets. He forgot to take his belt off. And he had Grebo. Grebo's the one who busted out of the carrier when I went to the vet. Grebo was terrified. So he has Grebo under his arm, and when he goes to walk through security, Grebo poops on the floor 4 times. 4 times he poops on the floor. Like, oh my word. It's funny now. It was not funny then. And then because he forgot all the stuff on his body, he had to put the cat down so they could take the wand and go over his arms and, whatever, right? Oh my word. So I had to wait for then a carrier that Grebo could go in to come through so I could take Grebo and put him down. But plus I still have Black Beauty, so I had to get her carrier to put her in first. Then I wait for Grebo's carrier, put him in that one. Well, of course, his carrier comes out. He's already pooped in the carrier. He had the puppy piddle pad, whatever. And all I could do was I just literally dumped it into the gray bins that it was in and made it clean again and put the cat in and zipped him back up. I'm like, okay, I can't deal. What am I gonna do with cat poop here at security? So I think the security guards were a little ticked off. I had actually gone because my bag never came out. I had to go around to collect my bag. They had to search something. Oh yeah, it was my water. Here's the trick. If you want to keep your water in security, and it's not really necessarily a trick for me, but I take asthma medication. Asthma medication causes me to have a dry throat. And when you take an inhaler, you have to rinse your mouth out. So when I go through security, I say, I need my water for my medication, and they never take it away. However, this time it was in the bin, so with my bag. So they're like, well, there's water in here. I said, well, I need it for my medication. He said, okay. Then he opens the bottle up and he does something with it and then gives it back to me. So while I'm getting my bag, the kids are dealing with the security guard who comes to collect the gray bin that has the cat puppy piddle pad thing and the poop in it. And I guess he was not impressed. Again, funny now, at the time, a little stressful, I gotta say. Okay, I got Orange Man here. Hi, Orange Man. Are you ruining my video? Yeah, keep trucking there, kitty. So, when GJ finally comes through security, his bag was delayed again. We didn't know why, and we were looking at the area where the bags were being collected and didn't see it first. But I realized afterwards he had a black case for his tablet, and they put that over top of his bag. So when he picked up the bin to show me the bag, it looked like it had two parts to it, and it was black, but that wasn't it. It was this green backpack underneath this black tablet, like a neoprene case. Anyway, we finally, after I don't know how long, and the guy says, oh, it didn't image. So he said, I'll walk it through again. And then the guy just kind of buggers off. So then we're waiting. We must have waited a good 20 minutes at security for his bag to come through. And the funny thing was, we actually took our radiation detector thinking, oh, it'd be fun to try this out on the plane, because in an airplane, you're supposed to have more radiation. Well, when we finally get on the plane, when we think it was the radiation detector that caused the issue with the imaging, when we finally got on the plane, it went up onto the overhead compartment, and we're like, you know what? I don't care. It doesn't matter anymore. We don't need to know. Maybe it's better we don't know. So by this time, we have 2 carry-ons, 3 cats, 3 kids. And our gate was so far away from security, we almost took one of those little buggies, but it wouldn't fit all of us. We would have had to wait. Somebody would have had to wait and get another buggy with somebody else. So we decided we'd walk it. And unlike Toronto, there's not a lot of moving sidewalks. So there was one in the whole time. So that only helped us out slightly. So I was pulling the carry-on. The problem was we had our backpacks. Annika's backpack was so heavy. She packed so much crap in there. And they never weighed backpacks or carry-ons, which is probably a good thing, because I'm sure hers was over 10 kilograms. It ended up, Willem had his backpack on the back and her backpack on the front. And then at one time she had a cat, one time she had one of the other carry-ons, whatever. GJ had to stop and get another cane on the way there at Walmart, because he has a hard time getting up out of the chair after sitting for like 5-hour flight, whatever. So he really wanted to have a cane. Also, sometimes, and not on this particular occasion, but when we went to Europe, when the people see you with a cane, they let you board the plane first, which would be kind of nice. But anyway, when we looked at getting priority boarding here, they said, oh, you would have paid $500 more, you could have got priority boarding. Now, this is how stupid this is, because we were in class D, or they call it, like when they're boarding you, or group D, not class D. Like D class isn't. No, we were in group D when they boarded us. So we thought, okay, they're going to board A, B, C, D. We're at the back of the plane. We're like 3 rows in the back. So why don't you board the back of the plane first, unless it gets too heavy? I don't know how this works, or first class first, and then the back of the plane. I don't know. Whatever it is, we were like, okay, we're going to be boarding last. Great. We had to walk past everybody with 3 cats, 5 backpacks, 2 carry-ons. It's going to be like, you're going to be so crunched in, right? Well, it turns out when they boarded us, we went through the little gate there behind them, down an escalator to like a subway. And we were on a little shuttle bus, and we're standing up holding onto these things, put all the cats on the floor that we could. I had my carry-on with the cat attached, so I had to hold onto that and hold the little thing. And of course, I'm very short, so that was a bit of a stressor. And it was so far away. We must have traveled, I think, a half a kilometer. I was like, where did they put the plane? It's like we went to a whole different airport. That's what it felt like. So the time we got to the plane, then there was these switchback ramps up to the plane. I think there was 4 ramps that switched back 4 times, and that had like a grid surface so that it would be anti-slip. It's like zzz, as you're taking your bag across. The cats are like, Grebo was still very unhappy. I should just say that was a little too noisy and too stressful for him. So we had to pay priority boarding, when all we did was go on a shuttle bus all together, and then all of us walk up together. Now, I got to say, when we got on the plane, there was almost nobody there. And I thought, wow, this plane's half empty. So more people didn't show up. So they must have had more than one shuttle bus as people arrived at the airport, because they boarded us super early. Like, I think it was supposed to be, they were supposed to board us at 3:05, and our plane wasn't leaving till 4:05. And they boarded us, like even in Group D, they boarded us, it might have been 3. I hadn't had enough time to finish the banana bread I was eating when I sat down. I'm like, okay, well, there was a little bit left in the corner. Like, I got to throw that out, because and the kids couldn't even fill up their water bottles at a fountain after they dumped their stuff out. No time. They boarded us right away. So we were on the plane, walked down the aisles, had everything. We're at the back of the plane thinking we have a little bit of time to put stuff up. But of course, the stewards and stewardesses were behind us like, do you know where your seat is? And I'm like, okay, we have 5 of these 6 seats, and I don't know how full this plane's going to get, but I need to know which one we're not supposed to be sitting in case that person shows up. So I had to pull the tickets back out and look through. Okay, no, we're not in that particular seat. So GJ and Lawrence were on one side, me, Willem, and Annika on the other side, and I put the armrests up, sat in the middle between the 2 kitties, and then I had to show them. Of course, this is the fun part of Avianca. I had to make sure all their bags, everyone got their phone or their bag, and then I had all the headsets. I had to get all the headsets out of my bag, make sure they all had a headset, because Avianca doesn't have the little screen on the back of the seat. You have to use your own device. And I never thought at the time, because I thought my other phone, my Android phone, was dead. It turns out it wasn't dead, it was just off. I don't remember how that happened. I thought it was dead. I was supposed to charge it at the airport, and Well, I didn't charge at the airport because I had no time. And I probably could have charged it there because there was a USB port, but I hadn't thought of it. So when I get off the plane, I'm thinking, oh, my phone's dead. But it turns out it wasn't in the end, but it would have been nicer to know that earlier on. Because then, anyway, I'll get to that part of the story. So then we arrive at the airport. We take our pictures with Bukele and all that stuff as we go through. But when we got to the immigration, by the time we get off the plane, there was nobody there. Like, we were like, we go to where all the ropes are for you to wait in line or whatever. Like, we just passed everyone. There's nobody there. So we got to our desk, did our paid. So we didn't have to pay $12 for the kids. It was just $12 for me, $12 for GJ. Did that. They take your photo. Then you go over to the customs area after you pick up all your bags. And in order to get the bags, we need the little carts. And the carts are $3 and you don't get your money back. So I had to pay $9 more to get 3 carts to put 3 suitcases on each one. That left us with 1 big suitcase, 2 carry-ons, 3 cats, right? Keep track here. And then the boys all did the carts. So me and Annika were left with the other things. I had a suitcase, a carry-on. Oh, the cats, actually, the 2 cats that were loose were actually in the cart at the beginning where you put your purse. So that was okay. So Annika only had 1 carry-on. I had a carry-on and a big suitcase and a cat. She was attached to it. Anyway, we got to the place where we go through customs and she says, do you have anything to declare? I'm like, I don't think so. And then, so we go through there and I said, well, what about cats, right? I got these cats here. She said, oh, you go over here. So I start to walk over to this other area where I guess you put your bag through the x-ray. And then I go there. Of course, that guy's not speaking any English. And the lady comes running over. She says, no, over here. I'm like, oh, okay. And that guy spoke pretty good English, for saying he didn't speak English. He actually, we were able to communicate, we'll say that. So he had to go through each cat. And then he comes up to where he says, DLH. What's that? Oh, domestic long hair, right? Because that's one of my cats has long hair. And then when he gets to the next two, he says DSH, domestic short hair. I'm like, yep, that's what that is. So he wrote everything he had to do down. He gave me 3 pieces of paper. I think that's what we ended up from him, was 3 pieces of paper. And then the bill. And then I went over to another counter to pay the bill. And I thought when he told me it was $27.16 or 12 or whatever it was, that it was per cat. So when I got there and she said it was only 27, whatever, I said, but I got 3 cats, right? She said, yes, for 3 cats. Oh, okay. So it was just like $9 a cat or something. So we did that. And then we left, finally, and found our ride. And he had a great big van. Put everything, it was like a Hyundai Starex, I think. So put all the suitcases in the back. The 2 rows where we walked in the side doors, the seat flipped over so we could actually face each other. So me and the kids went in that one. Our friend Stan, was in his car, and he took GJ. And then because I didn't have my phone, I had the SIM card and it was all hooked up on the phone that I thought was dead. So we couldn't communicate car to car, but we figured out where we were going. Stopped for pupusas, so inexpensive. Like for the 7 of us, I paid for the driver too and Stan. And so for 7 of us, it was like $31 for dinner. And we had 28 pupusas and everyone got a drink. And I actually got 2 drinks and somebody else got 2 drinks. So that was really good. Good way to start the vacation. I said vacation. I keep thinking it's a vacation because we were here on vacation last time. But it's like a permanent vacation, right? It's in my mindset when we packed the suitcases, it was like a vacation, but we didn't pack it like a vacation. We would have remembered stuff like tablet chargers if it was vacation, right? Like it's a whole different mindset. It's like I'm packing for vacation, but I'm moving at the same time. So it's like you're packing for moving, that's a shipping container, and you're packing for vacation / moving. You gotta make sure you have the right stuff in the suitcase that you're gonna need when you get there, because the shipping container is gonna be a month before it gets here. Never been under that much stress in my entire life. This is Exodus.